Who is Tony Revolori playing in primetime? Robert Pattinson's new movie explained. Spoiler warning before we begin. This video contains details from the official trailer for A24's Primetime and discusses the real-life events that inspired the film. While the movie is based on true events surrounding Chris Hansen and To Catch a Predator, it is a dramatized psychological thriller rather than a documentary. With that said, let's get started. Tony Revolori's shocking role revealed. One of the biggest surprises in the new Primetime trailer isn't Robert Pattinson, it's Tony Revolori. Best known for playing Flash Thompson in the MCU's Spider-Man films and Zero in the Grand Budapest Hotel, Revolori takes on one of the darkest roles of his career. In Primetime, he plays one of the men targeted in Chris Hansen's infamous undercover sting operation. At first, his character believes he's arriving at a house to meet a teenager he has been talking to online. Everything appears normal, until the front door closes behind him. Suddenly, the entire room changes. Hidden cameras begin recording. The production crew steps into action. And sitting across from him is television journalist Chris Hansen, played by Robert Pattinson. Hansen calmly introduces himself with the line millions of Americans instantly recognize. "Won't you have a seat right there? I'm Chris Hansen with Dateline NBC." Within seconds, Tony Revolori's character realizes that his entire plan has been exposed. And from that moment, the trailer transforms into something far more psychological than a traditional crime drama. Who does Tony Revolori play? Although A24 hasn't officially revealed his character's name, the trailer makes his role very clear. He represents one of the online predators caught during the hidden camera investigations. But what's interesting is that the movie doesn't portray him as a simple villain. Instead, the camera focuses on his panic, his confusion, his fear, and the overwhelming realization that his private actions are about to become national television. Rather than showing only the investigation, the film studies the emotional collapse that occurs when someone's secret life suddenly becomes public. Tony Revolori's performance appears deeply uncomfortable to watch, and that's exactly the point. His character isn't just part of the investigation, he becomes part of the larger conversation about justice, public humiliation, and the price of televised accountability. What is Primetime really about? Although Tony Revolori's character plays an important role, Primetime is much bigger than a single sting operation. The movie is set in 2006 during the height of To Catch a Predator. At that time, Chris Hansen had become one of the most recognizable journalists in America. Working for Dateline NBC, he partnered with online watchdog groups and law enforcement to expose adults attempting to meet minors after online conversations. Each investigation followed a similar format: hidden cameras, online decoys, police waiting nearby, and finally, Chris Hansen confronting the suspect face-to-face. The formula became a television phenomenon. Millions tuned in every week. But the more successful the show became, the more complicated it also became. Robert Pattinson's incredible transformation. One reason everyone is talking about Primetime is Robert Pattinson's performance. This doesn't feel like simple imitation. He completely disappears into Chris Hansen. His voice becomes softer. His body language changes. His calm delivery perfectly captures Hansen's interviewing style. Instead of shouting, he speaks quietly. Instead of accusing, he asks questions. That approach made Chris Hansen so effective in real life. And from everything shown in the trailer, Pattinson recreates that atmosphere with remarkable accuracy. Many fans are already calling it one of the biggest transformations of his career. The movie isn't just about catching predators. This is where Primetime becomes different from what many people expect. The movie isn't simply recreating episodes of To Catch a Predator. Instead, it looks behind the cameras. It explores the producers, the television executives, the crew members, and the pressure of making increasingly sensational television. As ratings continue climbing, the line between journalism and entertainment begins to disappear. Every successful investigation creates pressure to make the next one even bigger. Every broadcast attracts more viewers. Every episode becomes another media event. The movie asks an uncomfortable question. When public service becomes primetime entertainment, can journalism remain completely objective? Or does television eventually begin chasing ratings above everything else? Those ethical questions form the heart of the story. The real story behind primetime. One of the reasons primetime has generated so much discussion is because it's inspired by real history. The screenplay draws from Luke Dittrich's acclaimed 2007 Esquire article, "Tonight on Dateline, This Man Will Die." That investigation examined the events surrounding one of the most controversial moments in the history of To Catch a Predator. In November 2006, a Dateline sting operation in Texas targeted Assistant District Attorney Louis Conrad. When law enforcement arrived to serve a warrant, Conrad died by suicide before he could be arrested. The incident shocked the country. It raised difficult questions about the role of television in criminal investigations. Lawsuits followed. Critics questioned the show's methods. Journalists debated whether entertainment had begun influencing law enforcement. The incident eventually contributed to the end of the original To Catch a Predator series. Rather than ignoring that controversy, Primetime appears to place it at the emotional center of its story. An outstanding supporting cast. While Robert Pattinson leads the film, he's surrounded by an impressive ensemble. Merritt Wever plays Hansen's television producer, who gradually begins questioning the ethics of the program. Skylar Gisondo portrays Dan Plum, a young actor recruited to assist the undercover operation. Anna Faris plays Chris Hansen's wife, Mary Joan Hansen. Singer-songwriter Phoebe Bridgers makes her feature film acting debut in a supporting role. Even former NBC executive Jeff Zucker appears as himself, emphasizing the growing corporate pressure to turn investigative journalism into must-watch television. Together, these characters help show that the story isn't only about the suspects. It's also about the people creating the broadcast. Why Tony Revolori's character matters. At first glance, Tony Revolori might seem like a supporting character, but his role may actually represent the central message of the movie. His confrontation with Chris Hansen forces viewers to witness the exact moment someone's private choices become public spectacle. The audience experiences the fear, the shame, the panic, and the irreversible consequences. The film doesn't ask viewers to sympathize with criminal behavior. Instead, it asks them to examine how modern media transforms real human tragedy into television. Tony Revolori becomes the face of that uncomfortable reality. His performance may end up being one of the most emotionally powerful parts of the film. Why this could be one of A24's biggest movies. Director Lance Oppenheim is known for blending documentary realism with surreal visual storytelling. That makes him a fascinating choice for this project. Instead of making a conventional biopic, he appears to be creating a psychological thriller about media, power, truth, and public spectacle. With Robert Pattinson producing and starring, Ari Aster serving as executive producer, and the film premiering in competition at the Venice International Film Festival before its theatrical release, A24 clearly believes Primetime is much more than another true crime movie. It could become one of the year's biggest awards contenders. Final thoughts. So, who is Tony Revolori playing in Primetime? He plays one of the online predators caught in Chris Hansen's undercover sting operation. But his character represents something much larger. Through his confrontation with Robert Pattinson's Chris Hansen, the film explores fear, exposure, justice, and the ethical cost of turning real investigations into national entertainment. At the same time, Primetime tells the story of how one groundbreaking television series changed journalism forever. It examines the rise of To Catch a Predator, the enormous success that made Chris Hansen a household name, and the controversies that ultimately questioned where investigative reporting ends and reality television begins. With an outstanding cast, a gripping true story inspiration, and Robert Pattinson delivering another career-defining transformation, Primetime is shaping up to be far more than a biographical drama. It looks like a fascinating exploration of one of the most controversial moments in modern television history. So what do you think? Will Primetime celebrate Chris Hansen's legacy? Or will it challenge audiences to rethink the ethics behind one of television's most famous investigative shows? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more movie-explained videos, true story breakdowns, trailer analyses, and hidden details.